What is that thing that will give your life the extraordinary energy and emotion that allows you to look yourself in the mirror at 3 a.m. in the morning and say, I'm not giving up. I'm going to go and do this regardless what the world throws at you. It's your meaning in life. And it's far more than that. It's massive, meaning it's something that you're excited about. It's transformative, meaning that it's going to change the world in a way that you're proud of, that you want to. And it's purposeful in that it ignites that sort of emotional energy in you. Doing anything big and bold and meaningful in the world is hard. It is hard. And you're going to be facing all kinds of dragons, all kinds of barriers. And it really is your persistence driven by that emotional energy that allows you to overcome. People love supporting big, bold, passionate MTPs because they want to see you succeed. And an MTP is that guide. It's that measuring stick. And then people who don't have an MTP, they're wandering aimlessly. They look at some opportunity, look at another opportunity, have no way of judging, how do I spend my time? How do I spend my money? How do I spend my relationship capital? And without an MTP, you're sort of squandering that. With an MTP, you can say, this is directly on my MTP and I'm going to go for it. This over here, it's exciting, it might make money, but it's not my purpose in life. And therefore, I'm going to refocus and wait for that right opportunity. So that's what an MTP is all about. What I find is a lot of entrepreneurs have a desire to create. They have a desire to make money. They have a desire to sort of do something they can brag about, but they're not driven by an MTP. But on the other side, the biggest, boldest, badass entrepreneurs out there in the world are driven by an MTP. When you look at what Elon is doing, it's really, I'm getting the human race off this planet to Mars. That is my MTP. I'm transforming this planet from a fossil fuel economy to an all-electric economy. That's my MTP. And he can maintain those two MTPs and they drive him. And when you look at him, the energy, the power, the passion, the conviction that he brings is driven by that MTP. A lot of entrepreneurs are just looking for, their next photo sharing app or their next, way to make money, and it's not something that is going to fuel them for decades ahead. I know at Singularity University, I'm very proud to be the executive chairman and co-founder of SU, and every year we welcome a class of about 90 entrepreneurs from around the world. I say, welcome, you competed against thousands of individuals to be one of 90 here at SU's Global Solutions Program. And I'll ask a very simple question. How many of you here know your purpose in life? More importantly, how many of you know your massively transformative purpose? Something that you would die for and therefore live your life for it. And I'm amazed that in this elite class selected from around the world, that only about half of them know their MTP. If you know your MTP, you are driven in a way with a passion and an energy like none other. And you shine at a level. And that MTP is going to be critically important for you deciding what your moonshot is as well. It's going to direct everything that you do. So yeah, in a world of the most amazing entrepreneurs out there, I would guess less than half of them actually connect with an MTP. They're driven by, what they told their investors on their startup. But at the end of the day, they're not driven by something that lights their heart and their soul on fire. One of the amazing things about being an entrepreneur is that you keep experimenting, you keep trying. But I guarantee you that if you have your MTP, your experiments, what you're going to be doing is going to be far more fruitful. This is something that you're dedicating your life to. But the most beautiful thing about it is that if you're in line with your MTP, if you're in line with your greatest purpose in life, whether you succeed or fail, you're moving your goal forward. You're having an extraordinary life because you're hanging out with amazing people, having conversations, working on things that are directly in line with your joy, with your highest calling in life. And so, whether or not I mine the asteroids, and I hope that I do, it's this big, bold MTP of opening up resources for humanity's use in space. I know that every conversation I have, every piece of hardware that we build at Planetary Resources is moving the game forward. If not for myself, then for humanity. So you can fail over and over and over again, but when you're failing in line with your MTP, you're moving your own game forward. And what I teach my entrepreneurs that I coach at A360 Digital is it's critically important to keep the first small step and the big, bold vision in mind. How do you impact 1 billion people in 10 years' time? Well, that vision, that big, bold impact really hits the heart. But mentally, it's critically important to have that first step. Create something that can impact the first person. That can be a product or a service that can help solve an individual's need. But do it in service of a big, bold problem. Want to become a billionaire? Help 1 billion people. Another way to think of this, when I started the International Space University, co-founded that back in the late 80s, our vision was a space university in space, but we broke it down into bite-sized chunks. The first thing we did was we held a conference at MIT that brought in heads of space agencies over 3 days to study the idea of a space university. And that worked, and it was successful. And then based upon that small first step, we then created a summer program at MIT the next summer for 104 graduate students from 21 countries. And then that worked. And then we did it in 5 sequential summer sessions around the world. And then we held an international competition for a permanent campus. And I'm just back from Strasbourg, which is the home and headquarters for ISU's beautiful global space university campus. And so if I had tried to jump to that goal of building a global campus from where I was as a grad student at MIT, it would have been impossible. But I made it in bite-sized chunks. And so you can think big, you can think bold, again, fueled by your MTP, but breaking it up into steps that you can achieve and that the world can watch you achieve and then back you on the next step. When someone says, I don't have time, what they're really saying is, I don't truly know what I want to do, what I love to do. And so it's how you use that time that is so critically important. And when you use that time in service of your MTP, you feel like every second spent is in service of you doing something great and moving the ball forward. When you're scattershot, it's all diluted down to something that's meaningless. If you know your MTP and you're aligned with it, whether it's 5 minutes here or an hour there that you use in alignment with that is going to move your heart and your soul forward. And number one, the question is, was it truly in your heart and your soul? Was it really something that was your highest purpose? The second thing is, did you surround yourself with a community of individuals? Your ability to create a community of individuals, this is principally what we do at A360 Digital, who understands your MTP, understands your Moonshot, and then holds you accountable to that and says, what are you doing over there? So let's talk about how you find your MTP. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I want you to jot down the answers to this. All right, here's the first question. When you were a child, what did you want to be? Before your parents or teachers or friends told you what you should be, what is it that gave you the most joy? What did you love? What did you fantasize about being? What was, not impossible? That's the first question. What did you want to do as a child? What was it that gave you purpose? What was that emotional energy that lit you up? All right, the second question. If I were to give you $1 billion and said, I want you to do something with $1 billion that will change the world, that gives you joy, what would you do with it? So don't overthink this. Write down 3 things that you would do with $1 billion. To help the world, what would you do with it? What would you do that would give you joy, that would make you proud of how you spent $1 billion? Again, no restrictions. Jot down 3 specific ideas. Make them different. Third thing. Who do you want to be a hero to? If you could get the focus and joy and appreciation and support of one large community on the planet, who would they be? For me, it's you. It's entrepreneurs. I'm clear. Supporting entrepreneurs to solve grand challenges. You are the means by which I have a massively transformative purpose and impact on the planet. Who is it for you? It might be financial advisors, it might be scientists, it might be entrepreneurs, it might be kids, it might be teachers. What is the community to whom you want to be a hero? Okay, jot that down. All right, fourth and final, unrestricted. What is it today that gives you joy? If you had a week or a month off to go and learn about anything, to go and explore, to go sit at the seat of the smartest people on the planet, to go and experience, any culture, what would be 3 things that you would do with that time off to go and learn? Where would you go and get joy? Is it learning how to go on a farm and milk a cow? Is it going to learn and do a deep dive in blockchain and Bitcoin? What is it that you would do with your time? What I'd like you to do now is actually take a shot at weaving in the terms, the concepts. I want you to sit down and write out a couple of variations of your MTP. At the end of the day, this is what we're going to be doing in Abundance 360 Digital, and you'll have a head start if you've done this. And it's going to be now bouncing this off of your friends and your family and ultimately the community that you care about, and having them reflect back on you that MTP so you can hear it from them and say, yeah, I'm proud of that variation of it. I stand for that, right? And then it's about embodying that and using that MTP to fuel whatever you do, including your moonshots, including where you spend your time, what you get educated on, who you count as a friend and a close confidant, and who you don't. It's going to change everything. Let's talk about moonshots. So the concept of a moonshot actually comes from my friend Astro Teller, who's the head of X. It used to be called Google X. And we're actually going to be hearing from Astro Teller for half a day at Abundance 360 on January 22nd, 2018. Very excited about it because he's going to be joining me on stage. We're going to be talking about how do you design your moonshot? And not only that, how do you get your organization, your team of co-founders, entrepreneurs, friends, family to back you on a moonshot? Because a lot of times a moonshot sounds like, feels like, and is a crazy idea, right? Going 10 times bigger versus 10% is something very, very different. You can go 10% bigger in your work by working harder. You and I both know when you gotta, push it, and you work Friday and Saturday night, or you get up at 5:30 in the morning and you get that extra 10%. But going 10 times bigger, you're not going to do that working harder. You're not going to do that by getting a piece of software. Going 10 times bigger means starting with a clean sheet of paper. So I'll talk about my own personal work, and in planetary resources, I had built a number of companies in the space tourism business. Through X Prize, I had a hand in supporting Richard Branson, creating Virgin Galactic, Zero G that does parabolic flights, in partnership with Eric Anderson, building space adventures, taking people to the space station. And my dream had been opening up space, but the work that I was doing in space tourism, it wasn't changing the game. At best, we were driving to $100 million of revenue per year, but it wasn't going to drive the $100 billion of revenue to really change the game. And so it was back in 2008 when I asked the question, what has moved humanity forward to exploring new frontiers? And the answer came back, it's all about resources. And so out of that came with this crazy idea of this 10x idea of opening up space through going out to mine asteroids. And it really was a complete reinvention of how to open up the space frontier for me. And incredibly, it's worked amazingly. We got the laws passed in the United States back in 2015 for owning asteroidal materials. Got those laws passed in Luxembourg, and then Luxembourg, the government and the banks became our largest investors and shareholders. Crazy stuff. And now we're building a sequence of spacecraft that are going very shortly out to the asteroids. So what is your moonshot? At the end of the day, where do you want to go 10 times bigger, where the rest of the world is going 10% bigger? And let me share with you where you go to find it. It's inside your MTP. Your massively transformative purpose is the range in which you open up and focus on your moonshot. Your massively transformative purpose is the region in which you're going to be focusing on your moonshot. The moonshot is a very specific, measurable, objective goal that you want to accomplish within your MTP. So if you've got your MTP, now I want you to think back again to the questions that allowed you to get your MTP, but focus on it with what is the specific objective. If I gave you $1 billion, what is the moonshot you would want to accomplish? What is the goal? Is it to feed 1 billion people, which is, by the way, my dear friend Tony Robbins' moonshot, to feed 1 billion people inside this next decade? Is it to, go and mine an asteroid and bring back the resources, the hydrogen and oxygen, the fuel back to Earth, which is my moonshot inside of my space MTP? What is it that is a very concrete objective goal? I want you to write it down. I want you to write down specifically, and you can pick your time frame. You can call it a 5-year or 10-year MTP. Pick the number that you want. What is the objective goal? What is that specific thing that you want to do, that you want to have accomplished? It may sound like science fiction, and it's okay if it sounds like science fiction. Believe me, everything that we're doing now with drones delivering packages, autonomous Ubers picking you up, that was all science fiction just 5 years ago. Give yourself permission to think in this big, bold fashion. So write down your concrete objective. I want to solve this problem. I want to build a capability that achieves this specific goal. I want to impact these people in this specific fashion. So my 5-year moonshot here within the A360 Digital is I want 10,000 passionate entrepreneurs working on abundance, exponentially minded startups that are going to change the world, right? That's my moonshot for you in A360 Digital. So write it down. Who are you going to be hero to? What is the objective goal that you want in a measurable fashion? Don't put something fuzzy. Put down, I'm going to mine 6 asteroids within this period of time. I'm going to extend the average healthy human lifespan by 30 years in the following fashion. The next step, I want you to look out 1 year from now. In 1 year, what will you have to have achieved in order to put you on the path to achieving that goal? Write down that specific 1-year goal that will put you on line for that moonshot. Okay? Write that down very concretely, very specifically. I will have done the following things, met the following people, built the following technology, raised the following amount of money, whatever it might be to get you on that goal. All right, your third and final task here is I want you to name 3 things, 3 specific things that you can do this next week that will put you on target for that 1-year goal. It may be something like, I'm going to set up these 3 meetings. I'm going to write a 1-page executive summary. I'm going to have an all-hands meeting with my company and reframe our 5-year moonshot. What are 3 specific things that you will do this week? Write them down. And then I want you to realize that your moonshot is possible. It's something that you can do if it's fueled by your MTP. You have just taken the first steps this week that put you on a course for the first year. We're going to do this and renew this every year. If you're a member of A360 Digital, I'm going to be doing this with you every year. And we're going to give ourselves permission to think in terms of moonshots and to up our game every single year because it gives us joy and it allows us to take on the world's biggest problems, to do it from a place of emotion, from authenticity, from energy, from power, and from joy. At the end of the day, your ability to make a difference in your life is At the end of the day, your ability to make a difference in your life and the life of the people that you love and you work with is your decision to take action. And so beneath this video are a series of tools I've made available for you to help you shape and find and discover and polish your MTP, and also to create, discover, and imagine your moonshot. So go and get those tools. Use those tools. Take the time to figure out your MTP and to discover and create and name your moonshot. So my MTP with Abundance 360 Digital is to inspire and guide a community of abundance and exponentially minded entrepreneurs to change the world's biggest problems into the world's biggest business opportunities, and thereby to create a world of abundance.